Hello?
Hi, how's it going?
How you going? Yeah, good, good. What's up?
I'm doing good as well. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure. I want to talk to anyone that want to talk to us about this comeback, so that's really great. It's been a blast to, finally get some music out there and talk to people that seem to be pretty stoked about it, so it's all good.
Yeah, and it's so great to see the band is back now and absolutely in full form. The more that I listen to this EP, I mean, all three songs, I mean, it sounds like that great classic Cadaver sound, and it's so great to see that back in 2020.
Oh, awesome. That's so really good to know that people get it, so to speak, and it's very nice to see that people are responding the way they do, so I'm really happy too. And it's a crazy time we live in, so it's a good thing to do something positive with everything.
Oh, so cool. So, with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to start writing for this EP?
Well, it was a writing of the album really, and then some songs seem to belong to an EP after, looking at them. We recorded 13 songs, and 10 was for the album and 3 was for the EP. So we just decided that the song, how should I say this, the song that really sparked the direction of the whole album for me is the second song on the EP called Deformed Insanity. That's because we initially made 10 demos, me and Dirk, and then one of those songs from the 10 made it to the album. And then because I had so many different ideas at the time, I wanted to try different things, but then I realized I really wanted to know where I was as a songwriter and riff maker when I did the 2 first albums. So I learned myself how to play all my old songs on guitar, which, it's all in there somewhere, but you have to, when it's like 22 songs or whatever it is, so you just need to sit down and figure out what you did like 30 years ago. And then I took inspiration from my own palette, so to speak, wide range of how I was, twisting and bending things to make it sound like Cadaver. So then I started to write out of the context of imitating my own 18-year, 19-year-old self, and then go from there. So that's where I found the spirit of Cadaver back, and then started to write new material on top of it, really. So that seemed to work fine, and that's where all the material came out from, basically.
Oh, and it's so great to see that. I mean, after such a long time since everything that's been going on, I mean, the fact that this brand new EP is available now, and then the new album to look forward to as well. I mean, it's great to see that 2 new releases from Cadaver are coming together in such a great amount of time.
Oh yeah. That was what we were thinking. Actually, we were thinking about doing it the other way around, but because of the apocalypse, or what we could call it, we had to twist it. So then it made sense to do the EP first and then the album, because we want to, of course, this should be a physical release as well down the road with the whole cover sleeve and possibly a bonus live track on the EP vinyl version, and then, of course, full release with the vinyl and CD for the album. Because it's the artwork, obviously, we probably have some questions about the EP artwork. Is a tip of the hat to Carcass, which is the band that actually signed Cadaver originally in '89 to their label Necrosis. So we wanted to, join the past and the present with a true, like a true tribute to the Godfathers we had back then, and still know and are good friends with. So bringing Jeff onto the song itself as well is a obvious cool thing for us to do as old friends and partners, and without them we wouldn't really start where we started. So it's a full circle, so to speak. So that's a great part of the legacy that isn't that well known unless you're like a true hardcore Cadaver fan. But it's a good thing to show a new generation that these old bands, sometimes they actually knew each other really well and collaborated and did things together before people were even born. So that's funny.
Oh yeah, and it's just it's so great. I mean, with everything that you and Dirk have done, I mean, everything to expect on the upcoming album and with this EP. I mean, with a minimal lineup, it's so great to see that you did get Jeff to be able to contribute vocals on this, and he just adds like a great touch to the song, and it's so cool to be able to hear you two together.
Yeah, exactly. That's because I realized when I was originally I didn't sing in Cadaver, which is kind of strange to think about now because I could have done that back then, but I didn't really have the confidence, and the drummer hated to be the singer, so we really should have split it. We did something splitting it in rehearsal studios. We never sat down seriously and did it, but I had this jam band from 2007, 8, 9 called Karaoke from Hell, where I really learned how to play and sing cover songs in a context where I was more relaxed and could focus on, getting figuring out how to play and sing at the same time and doing covers. And through all that stuff, I did learn how to, do that. So it wasn't that big of a leap for me when I was finally doing it, as some people think. But then I really had to figure out how to express that vocals that I wanted to hear, and the inspiration came from like a mixture between Jeff Becerra in Possessed and Carcass Jeff, and to find my own voice in that direction. And then suddenly that clicked, and I discovered that, this is much more what I should do than anything else. So having both those guys actually contributing on one song each as guests on the album was just like a fantastic bonus out of pure luck. At the time they were both in LA when we did the recording, so one after the other just joined in, so it was kind of meant to be somehow that I could bring my mentors into the project and fulfill my vision of how I hear vocals should be like. So that was pretty exciting, and it's super exciting for me to have that as a fact on both singles. So one of those things for the books.
Oh, very much so. And yeah, I mean, I love the reception that you guys have been receiving so far, especially since getting signed to Nuclear Blast. I mean, it's great to be able to see that you guys are with such a legendary label now, being able to push you guys and getting you that proper promotion that you deserve.
Yeah, that's another thing which is really, really great with this time. I mean, it's a different time now and a different world, and to have the de facto biggest metal label in the whole world being so excited about signing us and promoting us is truly fulfilling for us. So that feels natural and very, very good. So I'm really psyched about that. So finally we get, like you say, things promoted really well, and it seems to be doing pretty well and wide out there. So I'm really happy about that.
Oh, I can absolutely imagine. So, also with that in mind, I mean, obviously with different lineup changes that have happened throughout the years, and a few years back you were able to get one of the best drummers in the world with Dirk being able to be a part of Cadaver now. What was it like to work with him in these sessions?
That was just a dream. I mean, he came, we met first time in 2014 when he was actually sitting in for Frost in Satyricon. We did the 70,000 Tons of Metal festival, and Frost didn't get a visa for the States, so we had to find another drummer on the ship to join us as a session drummer, and Dirk was the obvious choice from when we asked around, and he jumped in, learned all 16 songs in 2 days, and did an amazing job as a Turcon. And through working on that ship, doing those gigs, I realized that he was a huge, true fan of the old Cadaver stuff, and he had both the old albums and knew all the songs, and were really excited about playing with me in Satyricon because I was from Cadaver. And then I said to him, like, I have a lot of songs sitting in my computer that I need drums to, which is Cadaver style, and maybe you could, get all those files and play drums. And he was like, yeah, sure, of course. And through that, we just decided, wow, this is a lot of good material. And we met and jammed together and realized, okay, we have to do an album. So we just fell into place totally natural, like any good, musical relationship should be, very easy and just natural. So we work super easy together, and we have the same the ideas we put in is if we disagree on something, we don't really disagree. We just want things to be as good as possible, and it's we don't really need anybody else to be part of the creative team, because together that's also kind of what I had back, with Ole Bjerkebakke in the original Cadaver. We basically did everything, and then the bass players just played what we told them. So it's kind of the same thing I did all the way, really, when it comes to how I see Cadaver as a creative unit with two main guys. So basically, in this time and age where we have so many great players out there, you can use different session people to have like a full band set up for live that you don't really need in the recording part. But having said that, the guy who's the go-to lead guitarist for Cadaver Live, which joined us last year on this festival we did in 2019, is Destructor, which used to be in Morbid Angel. And he's a good friend, and he lives down my street, and he actually plays the lead guitars on the EP as well. So he's on the recording, but he came in when everything was done. He got the files and wrote the leads, and we recorded all the lead guitars in my studio in Oslo. So, but he's not a official member, but he will join in from time and again. So I'm using all my contacts that I can get to make as good recordings as possible, and as down the road as good shows as possible. So basically, we're a duo with bonus people around.
Oh, that's such a great way to do it, too. I mean, when you're able to get some of your favorite musicians to be able to guest and to lend their vocals to what's going on now with Cadaver, and being able to get Destructor, being able to do some leads, incredible leads on the EP, and of course, again, getting one of the best drummers in the world with Dirk, being able to really show off that great Cadaver sound. I mean, that I love the versatility that he has, because he can play everything, but when you listen to the EP, it just has that great primal Cadaver sound that just fits so perfect for the band, and it's great to see everyone that was able to contribute through your vision of what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I try to do, and that's kind of what I learned from actually working with Satyricon, because they have kind of the same setup, with a duo basically being the core of the band, and then always using the best other people they can find to fulfill the vision or the record they're doing or whatever they do. And it seems, some people have like this romantic idea that the band should be like just a band, but when you think about all the biggest bands and most creative bands in the whole world history of music, when it comes to like even the Beatles or the Stones or Pink Floyd and all these bands, they always had guests and other people coming in to do extra stuff on all their recordings, So it's not like we're inventing that thing. It's just more. It's much more done like that than not done like that, if you're thinking about it. So, in metal, it's also, common to jump in and do stuff for others, and rescue bands tours when somebody has broken their arm, or, there's all these kinds of things going on, Slayer had a show in Oslo where the guy who was the guitarist from Machine Head was jumping in for Gary Holt because his father was dying, and there's stuff like that. Or I've been jumping in to play with Satyricon and then ending up playing permanently with them, and I've been doing guest stuff for. Obviously, I was in Celtic Frost live for a year and been guesting with Ministry and all kinds of bands I looked up to that have shaped and formed my career, and been able to work with all these people. It's just amazing, So we take inspiration and what we can do from anyone that can basically contribute and make the music as good as possible. How should I? That's what people need to hear anyway. That they should be able to hear. I mean, so I think that's a good thing.
Oh, I definitely agree. And it's just like when you look at everything that you've done so far, I mean, you've been able to work with some of the best bands in the world. I mean, whether you're still currently doing it in a live setting like with Satyricon, or in the past with like Celtic Frost, or and any different style that you've been a part of too. I mean, it's so great to be able to say that you are able to play all these different instruments. You've been able to pick up vocals, and you're also able to go out there and play live shows or do guest spots or something like that. Being able to show your versatility from band to band.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing. I think that's what every musician really wants to do at the end of the day. You need to express yourself and do different styles and different things to not really be totally stuck in one corner, really, and to learn things, because that's really what musicians, we talked about it the other day, the coolest things musicians do is never seen or heard by others. We do something like jams in the studio, all the band members, and nobody will ever hear it, really, but that's some of the finest moments musicians have, when they're just doing stuff without any audience, and all the stuff that happens there, magic that happens there, is what we really strive for. Sometimes people forget that, when you make like a record, and what you hear is the final product of maybe 100 different ideas that you never hear, stuff like that, which is truly the process of making music, which is never ending, and always something new to learn.
So, with that in mind, and everyone around the world being stuck at home and having this unexpected break from being able to live their lives, is there anything that you're currently working on right now that you normally wouldn't have, not given this situation?
Right now, actually, I'm combining making new stuff, new Cadaver stuff, new order stuff, working archive stuff. I have digitalized all the old demo tapes, and I have a full pre-prod recording of In Paint, which has never been released, which is a little pearl in my archives, which I'm polishing now. So I have a lot of, I think I should do a combination of archive stuff and getting things released, and making a timeline with that, and making new stuff. So there's a lot of, I really like recording and creating. So to me, this whole lockdown is really, a good thing for just continuing being creative and making new things. So it's not that bad in the context of being creative, but we're all wondering what kind of world we will look into after this, and when the after is gonna, when it's after, for instance. Right now nobody knows, right? So that's a little weird. We'll see.
Yeah, and it makes me so happy that you are working on so many great things that you might not have had the time to be able to do otherwise, given the situation, and the fact that you are at home and being able to show off the different stuff from Cadaver, from Order, being able to show some stuff from the vaults, and anything else that might come up in the time of what's going on, or any other ideas that might happen. And that's what's got me so excited about the future. I mean, obviously there's so many things that are so uncertain right now, but one thing that I really truly hope comes out of all this is, with so many musicians being stuck at home, that a lot of creative ideas are able to come out, and some amazing music will hopefully come from this dark period that we're all going through.
Oh yeah, no, I totally think that's gonna happen. It's like you say, it's we will probably see, regardless of when we are going to play live again, there will probably be new forms of playing live, which we haven't thought about yet, which could, if it's advanced internet services, or stuff with maybe VR technology is going to take off now, finally, with all these suits that we've been talking about, that everybody will get and then gather in the same room without being in the same room. There's all these kinds of science fiction things that might get a jump start now. You never know. That's what I was thinking, That's pretty obvious that people are going to, if this lasts for like a year or 2 years or whatever, for sure the science fiction things like the Matrix will probably not be totally the Matrix, but well, I mean it could be possibilities we haven't thought about that opens up. So who knows, really?
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about as well too. Like, so many ideas that could be invented from all this because of the situations that we're in, and hopefully a lot of that can happen for the greater good of what can happen in the world. And yeah, I mean, again, just going back into the music part of it as well too, and just like hoping that there is a way to be able to show off this great music, and whether it be like that virtual reality, being able to experience it that way, or the classic ways of being able to get like the physical releases, digital of course, and everything that's going along that way. But it just until all of that stuff happens, I mean, I'm glad to see that the creativity is happening in your mind. And I mean, with this amazing EP that of course is available now through Nuclear Blast, I mean, with the way that this has turned out, I can't wait to see everything else that you got coming up in the future, because it just sounds so great and so inspired, and I just know everything's going to sound great going forward.
Yeah, nice to hear. Yeah, I'm totally sure about that too. And I have some really crazy visual ideas of how to do, all kinds of things, which, everything that suits whatever it is should come out. I'm not going to, keep things just do things one way, because that's never been my thing. So I always want to evolve and create new stuff. And it's so easy to work now creatively, I think, because of technology, the studio recordings. Everybody. I've been recording my own stuff for a long time, but when you can have literally a studio in your laptop with a sound interface and microphone and guitar, and basically be able to just hack out any ideas that sounds good really, really fast. It's such a new way of doing things. At the end of the day, like I said, me and Dirk will meet in the same room and jam things out. But to make all these ideas, just send files back and forward. Being able to do that, it's just it's almost like you said, like virtual reality. Having a band which is in Los Angeles and also at the same time isn't that far fetched. It's totally doable. So it's I think the future will be exciting, and right now we were all learning how to possibly be more aware of the environment around us and take more care about what we eat, for instance, which is a part of the problem here with the virus spreading through this crazy animal treatment in China, and that's no difference with the treatment of animals in the West, where we think we're so much better than them, but in reality farming animals is using lots of antibiotics that might lead to resistance and a possible new Black Death. So all these things are combined, I think, and the way people treat their lives and how they eat and all the obesity and diabetes and this virus now and all this lifestyle things. Now finally people have the time to halt and look at themselves and their lives and realize what's really important, maybe for the first time in a long time, not just rush ahead. So possibly that will be good for mankind at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's how I'm trying to look at it as well, too. I mean, so many things before all this felt like it was on the verge of collapse, and now we're just going through one particular virus that's going through the world right now, and it's already brought things the way that it has. And I think it is a good time to do a lot of reflection and introspection about oneself and how they want to be able to progress in the future. And I really do hope that people are able to realize like the errors of their ways before all this happened, and are at least able to comprehend the idea that things could be better in the future if we just try to change ourselves.
Yeah, I think we come to the conclusion that we have to change something, because obviously we have to right now, which is nature's way of just slapping us in the face and say, halt, stop what you're doing, it's not good for you. So that's nature always equalizes, that's the thing. We can always think that we're in charge, but when this happened, we really realized we're not fucking in charge, we're just guests. So, there you go. Nature will always be stronger than us. it's unbeatable. So as long as mankind think we're God, we're in trouble. That's always going to backfire.
It's such a true sentiment too, and it's like I know a lot of people, especially over here in the States, are not realizing that right now, and they do think that they are still in charge, that they're the ones that are deciding how nature and the earth are going to be. And I mean, I hope those people are able to realize at some point that they are contributing to all of the problems, and they are able to comprehend what's happening, and they are able to make those changes. Otherwise, it could doom all of us.
No, totally. I think, for me, it's kind of weird because I encountered a serious health threat to myself last October with getting diagnosed with colon cancer before all this happened. So I've gone through this chemotherapy and then a successful surgery in January. When I came out of surgery, this whole thing was starting, and I paid attention to that because I was going back into chemo. And as soon as I got back into chemo, the whole world collapsed into this the virus thing, which was kind of coincidentally, for me, it was like I have been really cautious about my health and contamination because of chemo and cancer. And suddenly the whole world turned into my regime, so to speak, which is kind of, obviously that's not the reality of it, but from my perspective, it seemed like everybody adjusted to my condition. So that was really weird. And then, just like I said to somebody the other day, we were sitting there taking chemo. It's like the whole world came to, the conclusion that taking care of cancer patients was a good thing to do, and wash your hands and social distancing and being aware that everybody is not in total good shape. That's suddenly the main thing on everybody's mind. So now it's much easier for us to actually walk around not being afraid of getting anything because everybody's so precautious. So it was just, because when you get cancer, your black humor is a very big part of surviving it. So that's why I'm such a positive guy right now, because for everybody else now 6-7 weeks into the lockdown, you're kind of fresh into this, but I've been in this medical lockdown thing since October, so I'm a veteran, so I'm kind of, I can be the visionary and see how you will all be behaving in half a year if this, it will continue, and your reflections will be deeper by the month. I can tell you that. You realize what you just talked about is real, and then you have to cope with it, and then it becomes your life, and you need to deal with it and change your diets and change your usage of your cars and your planes and all that stuff comes naturally to survive. Then maybe we'll change together, everybody, in a good way.
Oh, I really do hope so, and I am glad to see that you do have that very positive, optimist perspective right now. I mean, especially with everything that you've gone through, and it's so great to see that you are still here, you're still making great music, you have this great outlook, and I hope everyone that listens to this is able to get a new perspective if they didn't already change their perspectives of what's going on in the world, because, I mean, even though I've agreed so much with what you've said, and I've been thinking so much like that, I mean, being able to see it through your eyes, the way that you described it, is just like it's open mind up to see what other people are going through with their struggles. And the fact that you have this mindset right now, I think if, just like you said, if more people have this, more people work on themselves to change and being able to change for the better to keep the world going, it could be such a great positive impact if we can get that far.
Oh yeah, sure. No, it's crazy how my term potentially deadly illness came, and I survived it and came out on the other side facing this apocalypse together with everybody else. And now, like I said, I'm 8 months into that mindset that everybody is now 7 weeks into, if you know what I mean. It can be compared, when everybody's told to stay home and wash your hands and be precautious, it feels like everybody was told that you have potentially cancer, if you know what I mean. So everybody is afraid and everybody is bewildered, but through time people realize that, okay, we can deal with it, we need to just change this and that, and we can all come out to the other side. And that it's a little bit fresh right now, so I understand why people are confused and afraid and everything, but it's going to even out with time, and we will learn a lot. That's what I can tell.
Oh, very much so.
Being a visionary with cancer, I can tell you that. That's much worse than getting COVID-19 for most people anyway. So it's still a threat, but that's also something that's totally random. You never know who can get cancer. So it feels like the same kind of thing. Suddenly you're in a position where you just had to deal with something you never thought you had to deal with, but when you're there, you just had to go through it. That's the only way to do it.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, and those words are just so inspiring. And with that, I think that's such a great note to end on, that idea of hope and positivity and how things will eventually even out, and hopefully it will lead to everything getting better. And with that, I thank you so much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in your world right now. And of course, the new EP from Cadaver available now through Nuclear Blast, everything that's going to be coming up in the future with Cadaver and Order and everything else that you got going forward. And the fact that you're still here, still fighting strong, and you have this great mindset going forward, it's inspired me a lot to look forward to the future as well too, and wanting to better myself and better the world. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk to me about all of it.
Well, my pleasure, man. I want to thank you for having this chat and spreading the news about the new Cadaver, and hopefully talk soon again about the album coming out later this year. And we'll be back on the road as soon as the road is ready. So we'll have new stuff coming, and live shows and everything. So everything's meant to be. So let's just get through all the things we have to get through and meet on the other side.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, with that, I mean, anytime that you got something to promote, I would love to be able to talk to you again and be able to promote that at the best of my ability. I mean, again,
Awesome.
Just like seeing where you are right now, I can't wait again to be able to see everything that you got coming up.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really excited about the album. That's gonna blow your mind. If this EP blows your mind, this will blow your mind 3 times over, because it's 10 songs.